Alrighty, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the stream. Thank you for tuning in tonight, and thank you to our guest Rob for joining us. I would,
Yeah,
I would
happy
like
to be
to,
here.
sorry, I would
No, you're
like
good.
to let everyone know what Power Up GG is tonight. Remind everyone that we are an organization dedicating to help gamers connect, and experience, and empower. We are looking for ways to help gamers get more out of their gaming experience, whether that's meeting the developers behind the games, learning new things about the games they never knew, or useful guides for games that they've long learned, long yearned to learn how to play. Um, we are hosting the Just Getting Started in January series to host various developers as they start different projects, whether it's their first project or it's their just next big project. And we've had lots of guests this month. We are really excited to have Skymill Studios tonight presenting Kindred Fates. And before I allow Rob to introduce himself to everyone, I would just like everyone to know that they can go to Power Up South Bend. That's pwrupsb.com/activities and check out previous programs that we've had. We've had a lot of diversity in games and lots of great feedback from the developers. So without further ado, let's get to know Rob of Skymill Studios. Rob, thanks again, and I promise not to interrupt you this time.
No, not at all. My pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me on. For anyone who doesn't know who I am, I'm Rob Cravens. I am the co-creator and creative director for the game Kindred Fates and at Skymill Studios.
Awesome. And from what I've seen, Kindred Fates looks really great. Your website for Skymill Studios looks great as well. And I'm really excited to dive into the game. But first, why don't we get to know you a little bit better, Rob? So why don't you tell us what got your journey started, how you found Skymill Studios, or how you started it, and what brought you to the gaming world?
Sure. So I've been making games for the last 5 or 6 years. Until Kindred Fates, it was much smaller games. I made like mobile apps and little 2D side scrollers or platformers. And then I worked professionally at a company called Pixel for about a year on a game that was titled Rain Runner. It never quite saw launch, but it ended up being like 98% complete. We just weren't able to quite finish that one. But I started working on Kindred Fates in like late 2019 with my brother, and the studio really grew out of wanting to take that game seriously and really wanting to bring it to a real audience. So that's kind of how the studio came to be. Was really around this game to start.
That's awesome. So you've worked for a studio before, and then you kind of branched out to start your own studio. Is that correct?
Yeah, I worked for Pixel for
Mm-hmm.
a good 3 or 4 years before starting Skymill.
Awesome. And then was it just like you wanted to pursue your own project that made you? Did you leave Pixel then, or did you just have this project under your belt and say, "Hey, it's going to take some more time. I'm going to work on this."
I left Pixel not because the basically the studio was getting kind of short on funds, and
Hmm.
at that point I was primarily focusing on Rain Runner, and so that we weren't able to continue funding that project.
Hmm.
So I kind of started taking work other places uh, until the studio was able to keep going on game development again. Um, and then while I was doing those other projects, I was still really itching to get back into game development because I really love making games. And so that's what eventually led to Kindred Fates and Skymill.
That's awesome. And then, so you've been working on this project. How many people on your team now?
Sure. So we're roughly like 24 people, give or take. The number of artists that we're working with at a given time, it kind of fluctuates a little bit depending on the art that's needed. But we've got a team of like 3 full-time developers, and then I still do occasionally some coding. But most of what I do ends up being game design, art direction, that type of thing, writing. We've got, geez, maybe it's always changing, like 14 or 16 artists that we work with, including modelers, animators, 3D artists, environment artists, terrain sculptors, character designers, all types.
That's awesome. Yeah, it definitely takes a team to make a game, and I can't wait to show it off to chat for those who haven't seen the gameplay yet. The graphics are beautiful, so you've done a great job recruiting your team. So why don't we dive into the process of how you kind of formed your team and how you got your Kickstarter started. So did you have everyone on board before the Kickstarter, or did you kind of recruit everyone once the Kickstarter was rolling?
Well, we definitely grew after the Kickstarter because that really let us like expand the team because we had more funds to be able to do that. So some of the people that we worked with before the Kickstarter, we definitely continued working with. Kayla Kosk, or her Twitter tag and ArtStation page are Artro Nova, I think. She's awesome. She's our main environment modeler, and she does fantastic work. We worked with her before the Kickstarter and after. Cookie Flips is our primary character animator and rigger. We've worked with them since before the Kickstarter and continued. So some of the people we've just kind of continued to work with, but then we now have like background artists, or we have all these artists from these really cool kind of more well-known projects that do phenomenal work as well. Takashi Oga, who did background art for Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy XIV. He was actually the lead concept artist for the Gravity Rush series 1 and 2. Devino Kurtz, who's the lead background artist on Matt Groening's Disenchantment, if anybody knows who Matt Groening is. And our lead sound effect designer actually did the sound effects for Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. And we also have some team members who worked on Gwent and did VFX for Gwent.
Wow.
So I'm really, really thrilled with our team.
Yeah, that is quite a lineup. So anyone who hasn't seen the game yet, they're already getting even more hyped because that is absolutely stellar lineup with really solid resumes right there. And I'm really excited to hear too that you really have your core team still together. It sounds like so. People have been committed to this project from the start, and that's definitely something great to have. What is it like? What are your guys' kind of work styles like when you're communicating as a team?
Sure. And actually, I probably should have answered this as part of your previous question too. I kind of forgot about it.
Oh,
but so because we're all remote, we primarily do all of our communication through Discord. And organize on things like Google Docs or through like email and stuff for some things. But yeah, we found everybody just kind of by browsing ArtStation, DeviantArt, even Twitter in some cases, just looking for artists who really had an art style that fit what we were looking for, and just kind of discovered people and sent them DMs and found people that way.
That's awesome. The power of the internet, right?
Absolutely.
Which brings up another point, especially as we're hosting this event and hosting other things. How did you find it like adapting? Obviously, you found success, but what were some challenges like while you adapted to these changes to working remote and stuff like that?
Um, it's almost like it's like a difficult question to answer almost at this point because it's just been so long of
Mm.
kind of working remote and getting
Hmm.
used to it. Um, Man, it's been like years I think since I've even worked in like a brick and mortar place. I would say the biggest challenges are just kind of there are some things that are a little bit easier to share in person. Um, like you're testing the game and you want to share either like a bug that you're able to reproduce on your machine. Sometimes it's easier to just call somebody over to stand next to you and watch you do it than it is to record a video, get it to send. So sometimes there's like software limitations like that, I suppose.
For sure. And we had a question from chat. We've had a few, and so mods will definitely put them in the notes if they would, so we can answer some of them later as well. Come back to them, but one of them was Gwent, like the Witcher game.
Oh yeah, yep.
That is so cool. So yeah, this. I mean, they went. There was another comment that I should also touch on. That someone said the game originally started as a tabletop RPG. Is that true?
That is true. If we trace like the roots of this kind of idea all the
Mm-hmm.
way back, um, it it first kind of saw production. The first tangible asset, I guess you could say, for the game um, was intended to be a tabletop game like D&D. Um, we were I'm a DM for like my local D&D group, my group of friends, and so I was going to run a campaign that was like a Pokemon D&D campaign or like a monster battling thing like that. And but I wanted to do one with kind of like unique monsters instead of just like actual Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
So we created Alex Fictus created concept art for a whole bunch of monsters for that, and we ended up using several of them in Kindred Fates.
Wow.
So that's kind of how the idea started out.
That's great, and it's a great opportunity to talk about. When I think of that, as a business person, I think of bootstrapping, right? So you test your idea, and that's something we've heard about from our other Kickstarter projects. Also, I want to pause, and I know everyone wants to see how beautiful this game is, and not my face. So I'm going to transition here and give you a sneak peek of some of those beautiful graphics we were kind of discussing the artist behind. But also, this is a great opportunity to talk about the bootstrapping. So, and not just that, but your process behind starting Kickstarter, right? So you guys
Sure.
smashed your Kickstarter goals. So how can you tell me, your kind of steps from starting as a tabletop RPG to developing the game to getting on Kickstarter, and then how you guys smashed your goal? Can you talk a little bit about that process?
Absolutely. So I guess going from the tabletop RPG spot, um, that was definitely the first time we had some sort of tangible assets, but um, the idea kind of fell apart from there. To be honest, we started working on it, but it ended up being really really time consuming, and I guess funny enough, other things just kind of started getting in the way, like development on what would eventually become Kindred Fates. Um, and so I didn't really continue working on that as much. But I had notes actually even before the tabletop RPG for a monster battle MMO that I actually wrote up in 2018 while sitting in an airport. Um, and I had just kind of sat on those for a long time. And then once we started developing the game itself, that's when and it was going really well. We were having fun with what we were playing, and we had a very very tiny proof of concept with nothing but placeholder assets. Um, um, that's when we were like, okay, what if we took the art from this old tabletop game or some of it, and some of this stuff that I've got written for uh, like a monster battle MMO, and kind of put all those ideas together and then give the public what they've been asking for what seems like probably a decade now, which is that idea of a open world monster battle RPG, or Breath of the Wild meets Pokemon. And so then we really went all in on that idea. We developed that for, geez, like 9-10 months, something like that, and learned a lot about Kickstarter along the way from some extremely helpful people in the community. I can't shout out Monster Crown enough. Their lead developer was extraordinarily helpful to us in getting all that set up and helping us out there. I also got help from just asking questions from the people who had done it before us. I talked to the lead at Temtems and kind of picked his brain about Kickstarter, if he thought it was too early for us, or pitfalls to avoid. And same thing for Monster Sanctuary. All of these devs are really great people and make me really happy to be like in this genre just as a developer. It's a great community. It doesn't feel like we don't feel like competitors, at least to me and a lot of people in it. It feels like I don't know, like it's cooperative.
Yeah, I love to hear that because, when planning this, people might say, oh, are you trying to take viewers or take people from like PAXCon or TwitchCon or something like that? And it's like, those things aren't always accessible, and there's just there's so many different ways and views and even stories. And so PAXCon tells one story, TwitchCon tells one story, and that's kind of the same for your game, right? Like Pokemon tells a little bit of a story, Temtem tells a little bit of a story, and you guys have your own take on that story. And all those games are fun to play, but I'm really excited again to dive into yours because from what I've seen of your footage, this game takes combat to a whole nother level. Pokemon is your typical turn-based, and now you guys take it to 2 or 3 levels beyond that, I feel like, when watching this combat arena. So I'm really excited to dive into that. So you kind of mentioned along the way, but about what inspired you and stuff like that. But it's safe to say that Pokemon and Breath of the Wild inspired you. Were there any other inspirations?
Absolutely. We pulled from a whole bunch of different games that we enjoy and games that we felt really complemented the core pillars of what we were trying to build. We wanted to make a game that was more mature than just Pokemon. We're not looking for an M rating here or anything, but just something that wasn't something that feel like it grew up with the audience that enjoyed Pokemon when it first came out, and was more tailored to like an adult audience instead of still being geared towards children. So like finding ways to finding game mechanics that supported that darker tone or a more mature tone. So like adding in things like permadeath for party members, that was a big one. Definitely took some inspiration from like the Souls series or Bloodborne there. Obviously Pokemon and Breath of the Wild, like you mentioned. And then I guess evolving on other concepts like evolution specifically, seeing how we could push things. So making sure that characters always had a choice for which way they could evolve instead of just railroading you down a single path, to make evolution a little more meaningful, and not just like a guaranteed power upgrade, Focusing on real-time combat was just kind of a natural choice due to it being an open world game. We definitely felt like that fit the open world setting better than turn-based, but there's a lot of people who still really enjoy turn-based, and so we made that a stretch goal for a Kickstarter and hit that one.
That's so awesome. Yeah. I was looking through the stretch goals for the Kickstarter. You've got some really awesome things on there too. Like for instance, just getting over to Switch was a stretch goal, and so that'll be really exciting. Now, I do have a couple questions on that. Do you guys plan on going like cross-platform, or I see that you have another stretch goal is co-op play. Is that correct?
So
do you plan on having it be somewhat MMO where multiple people, or is there kind of a limit on the people that can be in the world?
There's at least where we're at right now.
Hmm.
There's a limit on how many people can be in the world. Even internally, we've kind of thrown around the idea that you're talking about of kind of having more than just maybe the person that you partied up with
Hmm.
in the world, and I still think that would be really cool, and
Hmm.
other a lot of us think it would be really cool. Um, there's definitely an incentive still to not bite off more than we can chew.
Hmm.
uh, it's a it's a very ambitious game as it is, and we also don't want to. I guess I've seen other projects
Hmm.
who have been in kind of a crowdfunding situation get into a scope creep kind of pattern, and we want to try to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense, and you even see AAA studios fall into that, right? Like some big name games. I won't mention any names, but we all know who I'm talking about when it comes to delivering an unfinished product, if you will. And so I can appreciate that perspective from you, that you want to, be mindful of your scope creep and deliver on what you've promised thus far. So So yeah, no, I'm excited. So why don't we quit listening to me ask you questions? Although I love hearing your feedback, it's definitely insightful. Let's jump into some gameplay and see some gameplay and ask some more questions.
Sure.
So I am going to take care of. I should have been having this music play in the background the whole time. I think I might have it a little loud though. So let's settings, audio. I also love the menu. It is very clean.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
Everything is subject to improvement, as we like to say. So it only gets better from here.
ooh. And you have different kinfolk. Let's explore this menu since it's so well done. And simple, but well done. So you can create a team. Unselected. Okay, so for the alpha, we just have the 4. We have Ember, Slifer, Shovelet, and Lumala. Since we're looking at them, do they have a little bit of a backstory? Yeah, you want to tell us about?
Sure. So, see, a lot of the characters in that are available are like the first evolutions, but we actually have 3 characters that are second evolutions: Ember, Slifer, and Lumala. And just so you're aware too, you're limited to 4 party members, like in your party. But if you actually click any of their icons, you can you have a few more to select from, and you can kind of move their positions around and stuff like that. Yeah. So we wanted to get an even spread of types in here. To give, I guess, a little bit of background into like why we chose some of the characters for the alpha that we did. So there's 1 of each type, except for an air type and a water type. Those will be added at a later date as soon as they are ready. Those ones are tricky because they have some kind of different. The way you control their characters is inherently a little bit different. With flying characters being able to fly and water types oftentimes being able to swim.
Okay, that'll definitely be interesting to see that implemented. So chat, who do you guys once we get to the battling? Who do you want to see main stage? I'm hearing Shovelbutt. Maybe not the proper name for Shovelet, but
say a loving
Shoveltail.
nickname the community has adopted.
People are liking Slifer, and maybe I shouldn't have said Shovelet's nickname, but because everyone's gonna run with it now.
No, it's been around for a long time. That was actually the code name that he went by for a while.
That's great.
Yeah.
You guys are okay. How do I? Okay, there we go. Oh, okay. So I added someone. Wait. There we go. Okay. Okay. So I got Ember, Shovelet, Mekid. Someone say they want to see Mekid play. I've seen a lot of Ember, so maybe someone besides Ember. Okay, what? The black mask changed on me a little bit. I kind of like this cute little guy, Kadoki.
Oh yeah, he's good fun.
So we got a small team. Take the black mask off.
They're doing you a favor there. The black mask is high risk, high reward type of item.
Oh,
It'll give you a little more damage on all your attacks, but it'll hurt you whenever you do deal damage. Oh, and then you can only have one of each item selected as well.
Okay. No sleep. Wait. Let's see what else we got here. No sleep for Slifer. The glass cannon item, chat says. Alright, so we got our team, and as you can see, they've already built up some multiple kinfolk. So why don't we talk about how did you come up with the name Kinfolk, or even Kindred Fates?
Sure. So Kindred Fates was kind of a play on the idea that your fate would be linked to the fate of your party members, and their fate, kind of linked to your decisions. So it's kind of indicative of a bond. And then Kinfolk, a little bit of a play on Kindred Fates. Like a lot of games, Pokemon has Pokemon, Digimon has Digimon, and so on and so forth. We didn't want to necessarily follow that exact trend. And so we wanted to go with like an existing word. Originally, they were all just called monsters, and we were kind of trying to stay on the safer side of a name. But then Kinfolk felt like a good fit because of the name, and they're very similar to humans in a lot of ways. They can talk and they have individual personalities and that kind of thing. Monster felt almost kind of cruel to call them in the context of having personalities and that kind of thing.
Chat is doing me some awesome favors here, telling me about the different that I can change moves as well. So in the alpha state, obviously you guys have put a lot of time into the detail of these things. We've got moves, or abilities rather, ability types. So elements that they like. This would be air, correct, to a twister?
Yeah.
Which already seems to be on my roster there. So I think I'm going to stick with the basic because I don't even know how to play yet. So we'll go with that.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'm loving the details so far. Oops. Yeah, so I named them new team apparently. Edit. New team. Wait.
Oh, if you go to edit and then double click.
Team. Stream team, there we go. Got the stream team going on.
Nice.
Do individuals of the same species have different personalities too, or are they the same?
It's possible. It might even be possible for their personality to change when they evolve. We kind of look at evolution as like that kinfolk choosing to take a new path, like in life, instead of just a natural like age-based progression or experience progression.
That's awesome. So I'm just gonna go through the settings to see first off controls, but also to show everyone what's going on here. Ability. So your abilities are mouse based in Q, ER, right mouse button, and then jump, space, dodge, shift.
Fairly similar to like Overwatch, or if you've played a MOBA, like Battle Right, I guess is kind of a MOBA.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Got some credits here. Make sure we're showing off some of the people we talked about earlier.
Yeah. And somehow I don't think I've mentioned Andrew yet, but he is one of the original creators. He's my brother, and came up with a lot of the foundational ideas for the game, and is the community manager now, and does a phenomenal job in all things.
That's awesome. So we got this beautiful menu, but we're gonna leave it behind for some gameplay action. We're gonna do public or private to invite you.
Let's go private, and
don't look, chat. Hold on.
We'll just be quick on the draw here. Or actually, I will send you a private message.
Okay.
Okay. So if you just type that into the text box and hit submit, it should join.
Perfect. We're sneaky like Slifer over here.
Yeah.
Looks anyway.
All right. This is the Riverside map. We've got 3 different maps that you can play on. This is kind of the mixed cover map, so big open area, but still some cover to hide behind.
I am but a little acorn.
And you blend into the grass pretty well, too.
Yeah. So, okay. So you actually can't see at times. I could hide. Uh-oh. And you can change your kinfolk. Slifer versus Slifer.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is going to be a slash. Oh! Oh, and then I have an area of effect ability, it looks like.
Yeah, and that one will actually lower my stats, so it'll you deal more damage to me now.
Oh, what did I just do?
It's like you swapped characters?
I was trying to hit Slifer's E ability. Oh.
Oh, nice, yeah. That's a homing attack.
Is this like I'm charging kind of deal? Entering a rage?
That'll also buff your stats, so you again deal more damage. Slifer has a couple good ways to kind of manipulate stats.
Yeah. So, can I... Oh, are there barriers to the map? It looks like this brain-looking effect is the barrier.
It is, yeah.
And is it a square or circle?
All the maps are circular.
Circular. Alright, people want to see Mechid, so... It kind of reminds me of Togetic. In a way.
Yeah.
A metal... What?
And so all the types have different playstyles as well. The Kadoki character that I'm playing is a Gaia type, and that playstyle is very like minion focused and like overwhelming forces. So I can spawn. Let me switch back here. I can spawn these vines here. There we go.
Oh.
Yeah, and so those will actually fight for me, and you can see they have a health bar. And if you come near those, then they'll like hit you and knock you back.
Unless I put them in my sandstorm.
Yeah.
I'm going to spawn them again. I can show the chat what getting trapped looks like.
Yeah, Earth types are very tanky and have lots of crowd control abilities.
Is there a cooldown on the, was that your Q? Yeah. Look at them. Oh, and they remain even when you switch characters because you planted them.
And they'll kind of act as a wall and block projectiles and things like that for you.
So we've just built this team, and Chad is asking, what's the plan for actually acquiring Kinfolk? Is it capturing, or is it like taming, or is it something you have in the works?
So you bond with the characters that you meet in the game. Some of the characters are afflicted by this. We'll say, for lack of spoiling too much, a sickness. And if you're able to cure them of that, then oftentimes they'll join your party, and so it's kind of our step in for capturing. That way they're joining you voluntarily instead of you sort of like taking them against their will. Just pretty important when your characters are sentient.
Yeah. So, would there be multiple instances of, say, like Ember in the game? Like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Now, what role does like the story of your RPG play? Like, is it very story focused where you're trying to convey kind of a message, or?
Yeah. So there'll be a main story that's got branching paths and yeah.
Make sure I can hear you.
Sure.
Chat, let me know if audio balance needs. Maybe.
There's definitely some messages that we want to convey with the story, although it has branching paths and lots of decisions to make. So how one person experiences the story could be very different from how somebody else experiences it, depending on the choices they make. They do all kind of feed into some central themes, though.
Okay. I have seen the Ember selling pretzel memes already on the. Ooh, I knocked out one of your party.
You did, yeah.
Oh, I'm about knocked out though, so get that switch.
There you go. Good idea. Yeah, that's
so shovelet the rock. What is that move called?
Rock slide.
Rock slide. Okay. Rock slide doesn't impact shovelet because he's an earth being. Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
His own rock slide doesn't.
Huh? Yeah, your own abilities will never damage you, so good there. Although when we do have like 2v2s or let you play co-op or something like that, then friendly fire will probably be something you'll need to plan around.
So what are the various R abilities? I didn't read too much into that.
R abilities?
Yeah,
like
mine is looking like the castle for
yeah.
shovelet.
So you can put any ability that you want on any key.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So it's not like there's an ultimate per se. Yeah, there's all kinds of. We've toyed with the idea of adding like ultimate abilities, but there's some really strong ones you can get still that might kind of equate to an ultimate.
Oh, and there's a time that I never even noticed the time. I was so busy focusing on the other elements. There's a lot going on, and it's great, but it's also simple, kind of like you said. And I appreciate the focus on simplicity because, there's a lower skill learning curve, but there's a lot of the skill cap has a high potential, right?
Absolutely.
So you can definitely, there's probably combinations you can learn or like strategies you can do. I imagine Kadoki's vines can really play a pivotal part in switching characters. Like, say if I were to go, oh, I'm dodging. I was like, what am I doing? Is there a sprint as well? Is it control?
You're just kind of sprinting all the time.
Oh, okay.
But you're absolutely right. There's some really cool combos that people have figured out. Like swapping between characters, you could do something like, let's see if I can pull it off here, but I could try to stun you with a move like that, and prevent you. And then I could swap to a character like Ember, who has a move that takes a long time to charge up, like that explosion there, and then kind of guarantee that I could hit it. So things like that, or even using like you could put your vines up as Kadoki and then start buffing yourself in the middle of them like that. making it harder for the person to get to you or stop you from buffing your stats. Of course, there's other characters that kind of have a higher skill ceiling than others. Slifer is almost, I would argue, probably the highest skill ceiling character that we have by far. He's pretty fragile, but he can deal some really good damage if you can get your combos off and be really accurate with his abilities, which can be hard to hit sometimes.
Yeah, because they're so close range, right? Whereas some of the others, you at least get a little bit, I guess.
Yeah.
A little bit of range.
A lot of them are pretty close. Or his most damaging ones tend to be, like his basic attack and bite.
Move, the bite move.
Yeah.
And again, each move has its own element, right? So that and you guys have a really, I don't want to say complicated, but well-developed elemental table. You want to explain the elemental table and how you guys kind of came up with that?
Sure. So we looked at other monster battle games and the elements that they had, and some of them felt like a little much, and like it could be. Oh yeah, that hits hard. But it felt like certain things could kind of be reduced down into the same element. This is brutal for Ember to get out of. He doesn't really have a good movement option, so Shovelet's a good kind of counter for Ember right now. Yeah, like
Ember looks fun to play though.
He is. He's one of the, I would say, higher tier characters at the moment.
And Ember is a stage 2 character, right?
Although we do want all the characters to feel like competitively viable, regardless of what their evolution stage is. Which is going to be difficult, for sure. Nice. Let's see. Oh, and then we also wanted to develop unique playstyles for each of the types. That was a good hit.
Starting to learn.
Yeah. So like I said, Gaia has a heavy focus on minions. Earth is a lot of tanking and crowd control. Mecha, which is the Mecha character, he is very slow, and a lot of his moves have a lot of end lag, or they take a lot of time to recover from. But he hits really, really hard.
Now, I see that my shovelet is burned. Is there a way to get that off without an item?
Not currently, but eventually there will be.
Okay, because I imagine you'll be able to do something like tab into your inventory or something.
Okay. Yeah, in the single player, you'll have access to items to cure things, and then as we continue to add more moves to the alpha and eventually the beta, you'll have options to other options to deal with statuses too. One okay counter to that at the moment is the character Lumala has an ability that will heal you if you stand in a certain area, so that can kind of negate the damage that that burn or poison would do. Mecha just hits like a truck, but getting to somebody can be pretty difficult sometimes.
So the moves are movable so that people can just feel comfortable with their combat style. Would that be a fair statement? Did you get me stunned?
I might have, yeah. Unfortunately, the last patch also introduced a bug that sometimes gets characters stuck, so could be that too.
There we go, I can move now.
Okay. Oh, nice.
I baited you. It was all
it was a clever ruse.
Playing dirty over here.
Yeah.
So it looks like initially you're in an arena battle that's like kind of a best of 3.
Uh-huh.
And then there's a game ID where you can maybe check your stats from the past. Stuff like that.
Sometimes it's useful for like debugging and things like that too. If people run into problems in the alpha, you get like a little recap of the health that you and your opponent finished at in each of the rounds, so you can see like if it was a really close round or not.
For sure. A couple things from chat. They're agreeing Ember is really high tier. Someone suggested you should make a glass cow called Glasgow because puns.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. So, what you got? Do you have plan to add more kinfolk than are listed here?
Absolutely. Yeah, we'd like to get in an air type, a water type, and just adding more types or more characters in general of the same type in the future. Once we get every type represented.
All right. You gonna go with the same match name and do another one real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Chat, feel free to submit any questions, and I'll try and be on the lookout for them. And I will do another game here. We'll wrap up and talk about story and strategy after this next match here. And again, I want to thank you, Rob, so much for your time on this Friday night, and thanks everyone for tuning in to check out this alpha game.
Yeah, again, really glad to be here. I think what you guys are doing with your series of streams in January is really awesome, and just the convention as a whole, I think, is really cool.
Bringing people together is definitely always a noble cause. And, I just think games are a great way for people to, find more what we have in common, and explore. One thing that seems to be a theme, which is really honestly perfect for this game too, is that games are really a sandbox where we can truly play and experiment. Who would have thought what it would be to be a raccoon that can control a raccoon that can bite and scratch?
Yeah.
That's obviously something we can't do in real life. And the stories, I love the aspect that you're trying to bond with these kinfolk. It's I think a really unique take on the game, and very fitting for the RPG genre. I played them all, so let's see. What you got, dear? Summon so that
hurts me if I walk in it, but it'll also heal you if you walk in it.
And I got another homing ability. Oh, and a charge. Ouch. Oh, so as Lumala then, if I want to heal, say, Slifer, I can hop in and do that. Combos in action.
Absolutely. The tricky thing with that ability is, you want to be in it because it heals you, but your opponent knows that you want to be in it too.
Oh, so you can get like stuck in combos pretty easily.
Well, potentially. It's all about how you use it. You can, get really 4D chess about it and put the healing area down somewhere, and then don't run to it. But your opponent thinks you're going to run to it, and so you run a different way, or you bait them into heading that direction.
So are esports in your future? Kindred Fates esports. So. I think there's potential. With that in mind, do you think you'll ever add? So this is like team battle elimination style, right? Now, do you think? Are there any ideas on the slate to maybe add objectives like King of the Hill type stuff? or anything like that?
Yeah, other game modes are definitely a possibility. Put you to sleep with one of the abilities there.
Yeah.
But
I also noticed that I can't, like, when I switch to Slifer, it yells at me. So that's a neat little feature.
Yeah.
Because Slifer's knocked out.
And if you try to switch too early, it'll kind of yell at you too. Short cooldown on that one as well. Oh, I'm surprised that. Oh, I took a lot from quicksand there. Yeah, see, I know you want to be there, so I can put down the fist over there.
Maybe I got like a hyper beam type ability.
That one hits pretty hard, especially if you buff your special attack. You can use this ability to actually steal your item from you, and then throw it back at you.
Ouch.
This character. Oh, nice.
Let's see.
Oh no. Oh, yep, that'll do it.
This is probably not the best time to do this, but... Now, there's an ability with Ember where Ember has, oh, right, I was forgetting how to use the ability. Where Ember has, so I had it on the queue, and it's where I was, like, lofting volleys of, magma. And so, how would you, can you, like, if it was on my queue, could you queue to get out of that ability then?
Yeah, if you have a movement ability like Pilfer or Rush, then it'll definitely get you out of there. Although you can't dodge out of the quicksand, so it makes it a little harder. Speaking of esports, I realized I should have probably mentioned this earlier, but we actually have our first tournament coming up on February 27th. So it'll be
awesome.
Yeah, it'll be exciting to see the prevailing team comps and strategies that come out of that.
Ouch.
Embers. He's brutal sometimes. He's kind of the zoner archetype. That's oftentimes what fire fits into.
Why can I not switch to Ember right now? Oh, because you have a cooldown? Okay.
Or he's dead, one of the two.
Chad is asking to talk about other game modes that you may be potentially adding.
So there was this one time where we actually, through a bug, managed to get, I think it was 3 of us into a match at once, and as kind of a free-for-all game mode, that was pretty fun, albeit unintentional. So that's something we've toyed around with. Of course, in the full game, we've got like raids as one of our stretch goals, which would be like a cooperative dungeon that you go through with your friends or people you queue up with.
Now, obviously you can do matches against people like this, but the game being an RPG, you'll be going against minions as well, right? Or will you be going against maybe other partnership with players and like NPCs and Kinfolk?
Both. In the single player side of the game,
yeah.
You'll run across like other parties that are hostile to you. Like what would equate to trainer battles in other games, and you'll also encounter what would equate to like wild monsters in other games too that you'll run across.
Okay. Now, Kinfolk are will they be wild Kinfolk where you have to build that relationship, or?
Yeah, in a matter of speaking, yeah.
Okay.
I'm a little notoriously close-lipped about like story details for some stuff, but
No, I understand that.
but yeah, that'll definitely be a thing.
Okay, so there we go. I got out of the ability there. I kind of want to see what the losing animation would be.
Oh yeah,
Victor is just.
it's basically the same for now. We had a goal to get some cooler victory and defeat graphics in before the alpha started, but
Ember is currently sleeping.
Oh yeah, if you do an ability, he'll snap out of it.
I like being Snorlax Bear though.
Yeah.
Mlex.
Yeah.
Alright, here we go.
Oh no!
Debated.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that was okay. So you have Black Mask on Ember, and while it definitely does increase the damage on all of your attacks against me, it can inadvertently like melt the user.
If you miss or whatever.
No, if you use an ability that hits multiple times in a row. So like Scorch, it creates that fire area on the ground, and so for the whole duration that I'm in that, I'm taking damage. And so every time I take damage from that, it'll take like 5% of your health, which is just brutal. But for other abilities that like Ember or other characters have, can be extremely strong. Just got to be careful what you take.
Lumal and I are becoming best friends, I'll tell you that.
That's good. Lumal is a popular pick. The only character that can heal other party members, so definitely a good one to have on your team.
Oh, I just switched them.
Oh no. Hidoki is another one that really struggles with quicksand because he doesn't have a movement ability to get out of it. So once he's in it, he's kind of stuck until he runs out. Part of the alpha is also testing to see if our theory of making types a playstyle and kind of balancing things that way, or having advantage or disadvantage that way is going to work out. We didn't want to just have, fire deal ×2 damage to grass types or water deal ×2 damage to fire types. It felt like it was a little cheap or too much of a numbers thing. So we want to try and see if we can get types to actually, or play styles to sort of counter each other or give you an advantage over another play style.
I'm trying to pop out the chat here so I can read some more questions. All right, chat. So, Rob, thanks again for joining us and taking time to talk about the game. Chat, if you have any questions, chat definitely has a lot of feedbacks and they sound very happy. And I mean, this alpha is very well developed. Clearly, you've got a lot to show off, and the detail is great. How many maps are in the alpha right now?
At the moment, there's 3, but we plan on adding more in the future.
Awesome. And I'm definitely going to have to join your guys' Discord so that I can maybe find some people to practice with and maybe be an up-and-coming Kindred Fates esports member myself.
There you go. Hey, you can practice for the tournament on the 27th.
Absolutely. I don't know if you want to type in chat. Where would they just go to your website, or how would they register for the tournament?
The register details will be up on the 12th, I believe, of February. We're we're getting all that organized now, but we'll have all those details in our newsletter on the 12th.
Perfect. So don't forget to subscribe to the Skymill Studios newsletter. One question from Sable Dragon Rook: is there anything like IVs or EVs that Pokemon has when it comes to character development?
Yes. There will be a system very similar to EVs. IVs, however, rather than having like an inherent stat, we think it could be cool to kind of give you the ability to choose where those IVs go. And we have a couple ideas for that, possibly as almost like a prestige mechanic on the character, or possibly gaining them at regular intervals as you level up to 100. But yeah.
And then in that, so you can customize your Kinfolk, and I was reading that you can customize your character. How much of a role will your actual character play in the game? Or
a very large role. Definitely a big role.
Okay.
We'll have character creation at the beginning of the game. You'll buy clothes and stuff, which while that stuff is cosmetic, the human character, or the player that you're playing as, is really the one driving the story, and picking up party members along the way, and that kind of thing, making decisions that affect everything, and could cause party members to decide to leave if they really dislike your choices, maybe. So definitely play a big role.
Oh, because you were mentioning like personality and stuff, and so that'll be an interesting mechanic to see play out. So yeah. I'm definitely excited about that.
Lots to look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. We've got a couple people asking, where is the canary?
That's a fair question. The canary, the canary's flown away for a bit, but maybe you can find it. Maybe you'll have a better chance to find it soon too. Who knows?
Who knows? Well, thanks again, Rob, for your time. There's plenty more questions I'm sure everyone will have down the road, so be sure to follow Skymill Studios on Twitter, join their Discord, and check out their website. If you're interested in what we're doing with Power Up GG, feel free to head to our website as well. Power Up GG is currently under works as we were transitioning from planning an in-person convention to shifting to the digital world. But we appreciate everyone who's come out tonight to join us and join Rob with Skymill Studios. And we've got one more that's not announced on the website this Sunday. So be sure to check out our socials to find out more about that. And we've got some other exciting events planned for February that I'm announcing our first 4 guests tomorrow. So be sure to check that out as well. And be sure you stay safe. And again, thanks so much, everyone, for coming out. And thanks, Rob, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Again, stay safe, game on, and have a great weekend, everyone. This is Classic Ninja signing off.